Okay, so let's start off our big story. First up is story revolving around Robert Vadra. What's going on that front? Is the clock now finally ticking for Robert Vadra? Now, frankly, this is a question which I have raised, which has been raised several times since the month of May 2014, when the Modi government first came to the centre. Tonight, a rather strange development. Just hours before submission of a report from a panel set up specifically to look at controversial land deals in Haryana, the man heading that panel, Justice S.N. Dhingra, has now changed his mind. What happened? These are 5 developments that have happened in that story. Justice Dhingra is now asking for 6 weeks of time to submit his probe report. Justice Dhingra is saying he's got some more documents. Suddenly a private person walked into his house and gave him some more documents, and hence he's got some sale deeds which he needs to examine. Apparently those sale deeds are revolving around some Benami transactions. This is what we picked up so far from our sources who've been associated with investigations of the Dhingra panel, that he's set to indict Bhupinder Singh Hooda, the former Haryana Chief Minister, for violating the law. The other point which we've picked up is that Robert Vadra's Skylight hospitality firm has been minutely scrutinized by the panel, so therefore there is bound to be some recommendation against Mr. Vadra, or let's say in the case of Mr. Vadra. And finally, the Commission is also going to issue fresh guidelines for the future as well to ensure that these kind of scams don't unfold again. Now, CNN News 18 did manage to catch up with the judge to ask him why did he require 6 weeks more time on a day when he himself was saying he was ready to submit his report to the Prime Minister.
I was proceeding for submitting the report. Somebody came and gave documents to me, bunch of documents, saying that these documents are the sale deeds and other records. So in this, see some Benami transactions benefiting those who were involved in giving that. Instead of proceeding there, I stopped and started looking into documents. So you see, after going through some of the documents, I found that this will require some study, deeper study and investigation. So just about an hour before, I sent a message that you see, in case you give me extension, I shall study these documents, make them part of my report. Otherwise, I will come tomorrow and give the report.
So that's the view from the judge in terms of his reasoning for not submitting the report today. Now, while Justice Dhingra was busy, as he says, looking at more documents which suddenly have landed on his table, Robert Vadra was beginning to feel a little edgy perhaps. So what he did was he took to Facebook and he started speaking out what many thought was against the judgment which was supposed to be given, against his report which was supposed to be given. This is what Robert Vadra wrote this morning on his Facebook page, and I quote, "Almost a decade of government's false and baseless accusations on me. They cannot prove anything without proof, and there is nothing which is there to prove. I will always be used for political gains, I know that. But I will walk with my head held high, as in time, and with the truth, which will conquer incorrect perceptions created about me." So let's raise the first big question, coming straight out of that point which is being made there by Robert Vadra. Can the Dhingra panel which was set up, is it possible for this Dhingra panel to nail Robert Vadra? Why is Robert Vadra getting so edgy? That's the question which we're raising. And to answer that question, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Member of Parliament and spokesperson of the Congress Party, joining us live. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Singhvi. What's your response, sir? Is the Congress feeling a little jittery because of this Dhingra panel?
Where is the question of feeling jittery? I think if at all there is a certain amount of jitteriness in the state government of Haryana and the BJP, and I'll tell you why. Now it's over 2 years since this government came. Have you not noticed that every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, Vadra has made a punching bag? Something is leaked, something is said, something is left in the air. Some snide comment is made on Twitter. Does it require a 56-inch chest of 2.5 years to, as you put it, nail Mr. Vadra? Does it require that much time?
No,
Number one. Number two, if you really have something worthwhile, Bhupinder, on me, but give it just half a minute.
Sure.
Would you do this kind of shadow boxing for 2.5 years just to keep the pot boiling? Number three, this is a commission of inquiry. It is nothing a question of nailing. This is a commission of inquiry whose findings are not even binding for the simple reason, and let me tell you, I don't want to sound technical, before I, as a Commissioner of Inquiry person, hold a word against you, Bhupendra, I need to give you a Section 8B notice.
Okay.
That's a mandatory requirement of the Commissioner of Inquiry Act.
Right.
Mr. Vadra received no such notice.
So are you saying
that
no,
means
Dr.
any
Singhvi, so let me just hold you. Let me just hold you there.
Mr. Vadra, in the report would be not culpable and not usable.
Very important point. What you're effectively saying, it doesn't matter. What you're saying, sir, that this report actually doesn't matter.
Give me half a second. No, it's not a question. It doesn't matter. Let me just don't put words in my mouth. No. It matters a lot for the BJP to make a perceptional pot-boiling situation. In law, it doesn't matter. You are absolutely right. He should have had the guts to give a Section 8B notice, which is a mandatory requirement before I hold anything against you. Now, it is, of course, the separate contention of Mr. Hooda and other petitioners or other persons who have represented, that is it not strange that out of thousands, the figure is given in that representation and writing to the governor, thousands, close to lakhs of transactions in Haryana as a whole, you have picked up a minuscule fraction in 2 sectors.
No, it doesn't matter. No, sir. No. Listen, sir, whether there is a scam, if there is a scam, whether a scam is about 1 rupee or 1,000 rupee or 1 lakh rupee or 1 crore rupee, a scam is a scam. So I think the Commission is well within its rights to figure out, however small the problem may be.
I'm not on scam.
My point to you,
I'm not on scam.
Dr. Singhvi, my point.
You,
sir, you on one hand.
One second. You're making a mistake. You're making a.
How? Tell me.
Can I make a sentence?
Yeah.
The mistake you are making is, I'm not on quantum of money. I am saying selectivity suggests bias. If you pick up 2 sectors in Haryana, or 3 sectors, it shows a bias to try and fix only those files where Hooda may have signed.
Now, the truth is,
the bribery is as bad as 1,000 rupees.
The truth, Dr. Singhvi, is that since the report is not in public domain, therefore I don't want to go into the technicalities of it, but I'm just looking at all the steps which are being taken. I'm just looking at ground level developments. If what you're saying is to be believed that there was no notice which was sent to Robert Vadra and therefore he chose not even to appear before this commission, which is all very well, why is Robert Vadra then putting up a Facebook post like this? Ignore it. If I understand you correctly, you're saying legally this report will not stand any weight. If that's the case, why does Robert Vadra have to position himself as this guy who's being targeted? 100%. When we don't even know what the report has.
1 minute now. This is very, very strange, Bhupender. There are 10 judgments. I can cite you the Kiran Bedi, L.K. Advani and 10 judgments of Supreme Court that before any Commission of Inquiry holds a single word against you, adverse, a finding adverse to you, a 8B notice has to be given mandatorily.
I agree with
Number
you.
Number 2, if the 8B notice
sir,
is
I'm in agreement, but I'm saying if that
be relied upon,
sir,
in any manner,
why does Robert Vadra have to take to Facebook?
Let me complete,
why does Robert Vadra have to take to Facebook? Please answer that question. Please complete.
But will you answer? Allow me to answer.
No, but
you are interrupting me.
Sir, but you're not answering the question.
Excited?
No, but you're not answering the question that I'm raising, Dr. Singhvi.
Now, how is it possible? How is it possible for you to ask that question? Mr. Vadra is a citizen of India.
Right.
You carry on a calumny campaign in the press for last 2 years. You leak. You give interviews of Mr. Dhingra. You leak information. You suggest that he's going to be arrested tonight. He's going to be arrested tomorrow. Mr. Subramanian Swamy is let loose on him. And the poor man, as a citizen of India, can't give a tweet, can't paste a post on Facebook.
Dr. Singhvi, you know, all my viewers,
do you think
all
that
my
viewers,
right
at the freedom of speech,
all my
to
viewers
post my
are watching
Facebook
this.
and tweet means that I am guilty.
You know, on Periscope, a lot of my viewers are asking this question. Ashutosh Sinha is raising this question that Robert Vadra is like the famous foreign hand. Where, you know, I mean, Ashutosh is saying Robert Vadra is like that famous foreign hand. You can keep talking about this foreign hand, but never get to the bottom of this entire conspiracy. My point is very simple to you. Are you suggesting, irrespective of the contents of this report, this report, according to you, doesn't hold any legal merit?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying, sir?
I have said so earlier. I've given you the reason of 8B. I've cited the case law and I'm repeating yes.
I got that.
But the point is, the fact that Mr. Vadra expresses his free speech right as a citizen,
that's a separate
is not a substitute for an 8B finding.
Okay.
Because he gives that, he doesn't mean that this report becomes valid.
Okay.
The man is aggrieved, the man believes that he's being calumniated.
You made your point. You made your
point.
Agreed. Thanks very much, Dr. Singhvi, for that very clear response coming from you today, that actually this report means nothing as far as the Congress party is concerned. At the end of the day, the Congress's take being that this is nothing else but perhaps a mere political tool. That's the view from the Congress party. What's my take? For far too long now, too many allegations have been leveled against Robert Vadra. If there is any substance to allegations that he really benefited financially during the tenure of Bhupendra Singh Hooda as Haryana Chief Minister, then I'm saying clearly Robert Vadra must be put behind bars. An example must be made out of him. Otherwise, if that action is not taken against him, the BJP then will be held guilty of using him as nothing else but a convenient political tool. Now that's the story of Robert Vadra. Before we move on, just a slight aside for you all. The Congress is contemplating about the much needed surgery, and while Robert Vadra happens to be one of the obstacles for the Congress party, frankly, as it moves on in its process to attempt that surgery, the BJP seems to have started it. The BJP has now decided to set an age bar for its ministers. So no minister beyond 75 years of age. The surgery beginning now from Madhya Pradesh, where two cabinet ministers, Babulal Gaur, 85 years old, and Sartaj Singh, 76, being asked to resign by the central leadership on the grounds of age. So you know which political camp the surgery is really taking place. Right, let's move on to the second big story on Big 5 at 10. Related to the Siachen expose which we did Wednesday evening. After our series of stories showing how brave Jawans may well have been given allegedly inferior quality clothing even on the icy peaks of Siachen, Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar has spoken out. He's taken note of the expose and he's now promising a full-fledged inquiry to figure out whether rules were really violated or not. Here's Manesh Shakil's package tonight.
Soldiers who are deployed at 20,000 feet and where the temperature is -25, -50, they trust you and you are playing with their lives.
It pains when you get such kind of stories.
The guilty made to live in Siachen wearing this kind of clothing.
An expose of a nation's ingratitude towards its men who guard the most difficult terrain, Siachen Glacier, forcing everyone to sit up and take note. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar promising action. He told CNN News 18,
"We have taken cognizance of the expose. This contract was awarded when the UPA was in power in 2012. The material supplied to soldiers has already been used, but we will now, post the expose, conduct a full-fledged inquiry."
A whistleblower has alleged in several letters to officials at several levels of the government that the company which provided the snowsuits for the Indian Army to use in Siachen has fudged test results to get the contract and has asked for independent tests to be carried out on the material. He had even written to the Prime Minister's office earlier in 2016. The company has claimed that their snowsuits meet all international standards and that a former employee is trying to discredit them, adding that this employee has faked papers. However, these internal lab reports clearly present a different picture. It wasn't just the whistleblower, but a top official of the Defence Ministry too had informed relevant officers in the army in a letter about the inferior quality snowsuits. He had said,
Issues raised by the vendor seem to be based on high moisture and moderately cold to cold conditions which are not prevalent in Siachen. It is also pertinent to mention here that in one of the Empowered Committee meetings held in 2012-13, it was brought out for the information of all members that the three-layered snowsuit supplied by Rainwear presumably did not perform up to the desired levels of satisfaction in some parts of Siachen Glacier.
It's not the first time that such an apathy towards Jawans has been exposed. It's a story that repeats itself in the form of corruption in the bulletproof jackets and now the snowsuits. With Bhupendra Chaube in New Delhi, this is Maria Shakil.
Well, I can tell you that that story has generated a huge impact. So let's raise that question then. Can the business of defense deals in India be conducted without taint? Why is it that all defense deals, or let me say majority of defense deals which have been done in our country over these last 2 decades certainly seem to have created some controversy or the other. Joining me tonight to answer that question, Saurabh Joshi, the editor of starpost.com. Thanks for joining us, Saurabh, here on Big 5. Why do you think the entire process, Saurabh, of defense acquisition, defense equipment being bought in India seemingly is so tainted?
Well, part of it is a bit of a perception problem. I get what you're saying. You're saying that the business of defense commerce in defense industry is presumed to be completely tainted, completely corrupt because of the association of arms and ammunition and so on and so forth. You're right to an extent, in the sense that defense purchases, defense procurement comes up in India only when there is a scam, and that's something that creates that perception. But given the story that you've been carrying the past week, the past few days, it certainly seems that it's not just about big defense deals that are susceptible to corruption. It's also these smaller revenue expenditure items, recurring expenditure items.
But you know, one of my viewers on Periscope, sort of just
reasons. One reason could be that India simply does not have the facilities to have a certified laboratory that can certify the quality of the product, and so relies on international agencies. This happens, mind you, in a whole wide variety of products. This is not just about one or two items. This happens across the board in a lot of line items.
So should we have it in India or not?
About that
but tell me, why should we not have testing facilities in India? Why should I have to depend on a lab which is being found out by a vendor which is being paid for also? The entire exercise, the Joint Inspection Committee, I was told, went to Sri Lanka, to this lab. It was supposedly witness to the testing process which was taking place in Colombo. Why don't you, I mean, what is it that prevents us? We talk about Make in India, we talk about India being this technology powerhouse. Why can't we have that facility here in India?
Well, there's no reason not to have the facility, provided you have the economies of scale to justify a laboratory to test these sorts of items.
That's the problem.
And this is something that, So, I mean, the armed forces procure virtually everything that is available in the world, from shoes to shoelaces to raincoats to jackets to guns and ammunition to artillery. It's simply impractical to have testing for each and every one of these items.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I agree. I get what you're saying.
But you mentioned something interesting. The fact that the testing was paid for by the vendor himself.
I was told that's a part of the contract. That's a part of the contract.
So this is what is known as no cost, no commitment trials that the Defense Ministry and the armed forces conduct. But I have an inherent problem with the fact that, you know, the testing of the product or the equipment is carried out at the expense of the vendor. Well, you know, I don't see how you can justify that.
Exactly.
It's the defense industry that should be paying for the trials.
That's exactly the point that I'm making. But thanks, Saurabh, for joining us and summing up the situation for us. I mean, it doesn't make sense because on one hand you have Augusta Westland VVIP choppers, where the controversy was that the trial of those choppers took place in a foreign country. Now we're speaking about these snowsuits manufactured by a Sri Lankan company, trial taking place in Sri Lanka. Can that change? Well, we're speaking about India becoming a big hub of manufacturing of defense equipment, where we will end up being exporters. If we have to do all that, we jolly well get our act right, and we ensure that we at least have these basic testing facilities right in our country. Now, that's not the only thing which shocks us. Often what goes on in the personal lives of politicians also ends up being a huge shocker. Take a look at this. Jharkhand BJP chief, Tala Marandi's son, Munna Marandi, has allegedly got married to a minor. What you're looking at on your screens is a birth certificate of sorts. It's an educational certificate which shows that an 11-year-old girl who was studying in class 6 has ended up being married to this fellow. The wedding is said to have taken place in the Goda district of Jharkhand on the 27th of June. To make matters worse for our BJP president's son there, BJP president of Jharkhand, another minor girl has also accused him of sexual abuse. Take a break. A big story coming up on the other side of the break as well. No, not related to that letter, related to celebrations on social media. It's Social Media Day. How should we be celebrating? Should we be celebrating or should we be getting concerned? Look at that on the other side of the break.